I'm very happy to be with you again. Taraz, very happy to see you. It's been some time. Ben, happy to see you for a Sunday program again. It's been some time. Craig, I'm always happy to see you as well. Now we have Shweta and Paloma. And one more time. I'm very happy to be with you again. Taraz, very happy to see you. Unfortunately, you guys have to hear that twice. So anyway, and then our friends Rishabh and your friend Bharat. Very nice, very nice. I want to go to Bharat.
Not Bharat.
Bharat. Okay, like King Bharat?
Yeah.
Ah, yes, I see. Well, very nice to have you with us, Bharat. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Brijesh, very nice to be with you. And remind me your...
Summer.
Summer?
Summer.
Summer. Just like the season.
Yes.
Well, Hare Krishna, Summer. I'm waiting for the season of your name to come back. I've been missing summer. But now Krishna has sent me summer to get a little bit of little sunshine and warmth in my life. Hopefully. Do you bring those things as well? Yes. Mom says yes. She's a little biased though because she's your mom. But no problem. So. All right. So everyone, Bhagavad Gita 2:11. What's that? Oh, do you? Okay. Like I said, I'm your puppet. You just pull the string. Okay, we'll do some mantras. Go to the first page of Bhagavad Gita. These are prayers glorifying the gurus, those who are learned in this wisdom and share this wisdom with us. So I'm not concocting anything. I'm not speaking something that's my own figment of my imagination. Ask for their blessings all the way back up through the incarnations of the Lord and the Supreme Lord Himself. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Give me a second. Oh no, I did remember. Shri Chaitanya Manobishlam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayamruva Kadamaya Vidati Svakarantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Vaishnavancha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raghuram Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Nisha Amritam Nisja He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhani Sute Panchakalpa Taruneshcha Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jai. All right, everyone. Again, the theme of today is we're really pleading that the Lord has so much mercy upon Hali. She normally is here. I expected her to be here this week. But, Krishna has a different... I also want to say something quite amazing. I didn't know if I even told you. But interestingly enough, she had an accident. and she fell out of her bed on Tuesday night. And actually, interestingly enough, she was on the ground from Tuesday night all the way until Thursday morning. What's that?
When someone came to find her.
When someone came to find her relatives. But interestingly enough, Wednesday was Mokshada Ekadashi. And so Mokshada Ekadashi is a day that grants liberation, and a day that, if one fasts on this day, you get all kinds of spiritual benefit. We do it willingly. But actually, Holly always used to joke, I ain't never doing no fasting. She always told me like this. I said, you don't have to fast, Holly. Anyway, I find it really interesting when I think about how it all has played out, that Krishna had, if he was going to put her through that any which day, he put it through it on a day where she gets so much benefit. So, anyway, I just think that's amazing that Krishna did that. Anyhow, we're dealing with loss of life, and who knows, maybe she'll just recover and she'll come back next week. I don't know what's going to happen. But we saw her last night and it didn't look like that. So, anyway, we're going to go and we're going to read Bhagavad Gita, and I'm going to stop crying and it's going to be okay. So, Chapter 2, verse 11. So this is the first verse that Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita, the whole first chapter is the yoga of lamentation. It's Arjuna pretty much doing what I'm doing, crying, the whole chapter. And the whole chapter, Arjuna is, he's lamenting. And he's giving all kinds of arguments to Krishna of why he should not fight, why he should not do his duty. It's a battle, it's a war field. The duty is to fight on the war field. But he didn't want it. Why? Because he felt that the fruits of fighting were futile. What good is a kingdom? What good is this? What good is that? You're going to keep making me cry if you keep crying. Anyway, all these things. But ultimately, Krishna, he speaks. At one point, Arjuna does something very intelligent, only a few verses earlier. Why not? I could just read it to you. Text 7, he says, "Now I'm confused about my duty, and have lost all composure because of weakness. In this condition, I'm asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me." So, this is actually very good, because at one point, Krishna and Arjuna had the relationship of friends. That was their main relationship. But at one point, Arjuna realized that I need solace, I need peace about this situation, and actually you're the one who's going to give me the answer. A lot of times, we might, even with devotees, senior devotees or things like that, we might act as friends as them. The senior devotee is the best shot we have, the acharya, the guru, it's the best shot we have. Arjuna is so fortunate that he had Krishna himself instructing him. We're so fortunate that we can study Arjuna's conversation with Krishna and we can actually reap the benefit and also be enlightened. But in this world, no one's going to hold us accountable to following Arjuna and Krishna's instruction. If I get a crazy idea in my head, I'd rather flip this around towards something that my mind finds more pleasing than what it's actually saying. No one's going to hold us accountable. The book's not going to hold us accountable. God will eventually hold us accountable. Krishna will, but through karma and all kinds of the intricacies. But ultimately, Arjuna did something very, very intelligent. He approached a guru. Now, he was very, very wise and fortunate because he had Krishna as his guru. There's no better guru than the supreme guru, the Adi Guru, the original guru. But we're not so fortunate. So we should approach someone with knowledge. And this is actually what he says, I'm confused about my duty and I've lost all composure because of weakness. In this condition, I'm asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. That's what a guru should be able to tell you, what's actually best for you. Somebody who has your best interest in mind and really is caring and knows and is filled with realization, and who can tell you what is actually going to be best for you. He says, now I'm your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So this is very, very intelligent. He became a soul surrendered unto Krishna. And at the end, Krishna says that's the main instruction anyway. You surrender unto me, I'll carry you through anything. I just gave you the beginning of Bhagavad Gita and the end. But in between is the Bhagavad Gita, is the juice, the teachings that are there. So text 11 is where Krishna actually speaks first. And he says such. It goes like so. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Vashocyanan Vachochastvam Pragyavadams Chabhashase Gatasuna Gatasumscha Nanu Shochanti Pandita Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Ashocyan, that which is not worthy of lamentation. Anvashocha, you are lamenting. Tvam, you. Pragyavadaha, learned talks. Cha, also. Bhashase, speaking. Gata, lost. Asun, life. Agata, not past. Asun, life. Cha, also. Na, never. Anushochanti, lament. Pandita, the learned. The Blessed Lord said, it'll be different in your translation. Blessed Lord said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. Prabhupada is saying, the Lord at once took the position of the teacher and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. It's actually, in order for a student and teacher relationship to be there, the student should feel foolish before the teacher. That's natural. A lot of times we're brought up in such a culture in the West where we mock and scoff our teachers and we have such a disrespectful relationship towards our teachers. Or we think we're equals with our teachers and things like this. And actually, this is very foolish. In order to actually be equal with the teacher, you must take the role of a student. So Arjuna did that. He finally took the role of a student. Not finally. Krishna actually likes it better when he's his friend. But in this circumstance, Arjuna came under ignorance, and by Krishna's arrangement. And he needed a teacher at this point. So what did he have to do? To actually get relief, he had to take the role of a student. And so that's what he did. We were so caught up in a world, especially in America, where the land of Independence Day. I'm going to figure it out by myself. No, you're not. No, you're not. That's not what you're capable of doing, actually. It's like, how old are you, Summer? 8 years old. That's like sending Summer out into the world. Like, just figure it out, kid. Maybe he'll figure out some stuff eventually. But if he listens to mom and dad, he'll do a lot better in the world. He'll go a lot further. We're all like Summers in the cosmic creation. Trying to just figure out, trying to enjoy, maybe trying to play, having a perpetual summer. But we need guidance. So Arjuna took guidance, and then Krishna, he did what guidance gives you. He pretty much, indirectly makes you realize you're a fool. That's good. We need to know that we're a fool. It's how can we know something, unless we're made to know that we don't know something, how can we actually strive to learn something? So that's what a teacher will do. That's what a guru will do, is they'll make you realize that, oh, I'm foolish. So the Lord said, "You are talking like a learned man, but you do not know that one who is learned, one who knows what is body and what is soul, does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition." So, we do this. We have all kinds of arguments or all kinds of philosophies and theories, and we write books on it, we read books on it, all kinds of things. But ultimately, if the consciousness is all about bodily considerations, oh, this body has done this to me, or even, right, we're lamenting that Holly is not with us. In one sense, there is a loss, because in one sense, Holly's soul will not be able, let's just say she leaves, hypothetically, she wouldn't be able to continue doing devotional service. And we can lament that we wouldn't, not that she will continue, I'm not saying that. She wouldn't, with us right now in this spot, we wouldn't get to enjoy doing service with Holly any further. And that's worth mourning over. But if we think that Holly's gone forever, if we think that, oh no, this is Holly, her body that's lying in the hospital. No, that's not her. If we are learned, we know that that's not her. We know that's her vehicle. That's her shell. And actually, when I saw her like that, I was hoping that either Krishna arranges something soon that she can get out of that situation, or that he takes her, because it was no way to live. It didn't look good from that point of view. Why? Because she'll have a much better thing going on for her. So anyhow, we lament for all kinds of things. All kinds of things we're lamenting. Oh, it didn't work out. I didn't get into this university, or I didn't get this job, or my child didn't get this grade, or this thing, or that. These are all bodily considerations. Relationship issues, this thing, that thing, the other, financial issues, whatever is there. This is all bodily consideration. And we can put out so many theories. Oh, it has to be like this, it has to be like this. I know, I'll devise this strategy to do this, that, and the other. What for? We speak like we're learned, and we consider like we're learned, but we don't even know the difference between body and spirit. So right away, Arjuna, first chapter, giving all kinds of considerations for doing dharma, all kinds of considerations for what was proper for a man in his position. But the main thing he didn't even Arjuna understood way more than we can understand. Arjuna this is Leela. It's different. It's not that Arjuna is a conditioned soul and he's just an idiot on the battlefield or anything. No, Krishna allowed for Arjuna. He put him under himself so that this whole Bhagavad Gita can happen. Why? Because Krishna is looking out for you and me and all of us. That's why Krishna does it. But anyway, Arjuna was led to have bodily considerations. We're constantly having bodily considerations. Constantly. Oh, and it's not our body, it's someone else's bodily considerations. Oh, So anyhow, Prabhupada continues, Krishna says, one who knows what is body and what is soul does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition. As it will be explained in later chapters, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and spirit, and the controller of both. We have so much knowledge floating around in this world. So much knowledge. Let me teach you how to build antennas. Right? Let me teach you how to, do this part of your job. There's an instruction manual for the computer, the instruction manual for your gadget, your car, this, that, and the other. What is that knowledge? Is that jnana? By the Vedic understanding. Is it jnana? Is it knowledge? No. Because it's all temporary, it's all fleeting. But yet we put so much emphasis. All of your universities, Rishabh, you're a university student, correct?
Yes.
Could you direct me in the university to the chapter or the section of the university where they have the differentiation between matter and spirit, where they can teach conclusively on this subject matter.
Not in this university.
Yeah, not in most universities. In this university, we're trying to teach here. Yes, this is the subject matter. But most universities, Paloma, you work in a university. Could you lead us in Oswego to where? No, they don't have that department there either. Okay. Anyone else go to a different university? How about the university you went to? Craig, how about the university you went to?
Yeah.
No. So this is actually the case. People, but how many books do they write? Theses, or I'm a PhD, or let me instruct students, all these things. But what are they instructing people on?
Just material activities.
Yes, things which are ultimately illusory, and causing people to attach and ultimately lament over things that don't have factual existence. Sat, what does sat mean? Truth is another word that's very valuable that could be understood with sat. Another translation. What's that? Sattva. Yeah, it's the state of being in sat, yes, but eternal. Not just a fleeting truth. Like there's all kinds of asat truths of this world, like all those thesis papers and things like that people are putting out. It's true for some time while they discover, and then ultimately it will all be lost. All these things of this world. And one who is wise, they don't lament, attach, and grieve for all these things. But ultimately, we do. That's pretty much all we care about. With the exception of the transcendentalist, who's devoted their life to differentiating between matter and spirit and making their life one in connecting to spirit, which is called what? What's that? I can't hear. Nirvar? I've never heard that word.
Nirvana?
Oh, nirvana. Yeah, I'm not. I think like in the Buddhist use of the word nirvana, I don't think would match up. But I'm not exactly sure the Vedic. The word I was looking for was yoga. That's what yoga means, to connect to the absolute. And the absolute, what? Aham Brahmasmi, is spirit. We are spirit. And then the supreme is spirit, the supreme spirit, the Paramatma. So anyhow, this is the real subject matter. This is real knowledge, and yet we're all lamenting over so many things. I saw it yesterday when we were visiting Holly, and it was hard not to lament for the state of her body. It was hard not to lament also that she won't be with us in this community. Likely, she probably won't be back next Sunday in the kirtans. But ultimately, if I'm learned, and actually learned, I picked this subject matter for myself actually this week, then I won't ultimately be so attached to that thing. It doesn't have to be like that, and I could see, and like I'm able to appreciate what Krishna is doing in her life, whether she recovers or not, to put her down during a whole Mokshada Ekadashi. How glorious, actually. How glorious to be able to perform an Ekadashi. Full fast.
Just the fact that she came here and took part as much as she did is something to be celebrated.
Exactly. I mean, she's dancing before the deities, bowing down before the deities, eating the Lord's prasad, chanting the names of God, all the wonderful parts of the process of bhakti. And then to top it off, she gets to leave in such a glorious way. It's actually amazing. But at the same time, yes, I personally, how I'm looking at it, I can't think that, oh yes, you will all eternally be a part of the congregation here, or my satsang. Yes, Piyush will always be here. I can always rely on Piyush or Parth or my wife or my children or any of you. This is not what we can attach to each other. Not even our children, not even our siblings, our relatives. Does anyone remember their relatives in their past lifetime? I don't. But how much emphasis do we put on, maintaining the relationships with the relatives, maintaining this thing, that thing, the other thing? We put so much emphasis on all these things. But your kids, your sister, your brother, your parents, you had them all in millions of lifetimes, billions of lifetimes. But now, what's the relationship? It's different. How about your wife, your significant other? We put a lot of emphasis on that, on the relationship. Who remembers their wife in their past lifetime? Who remembers whether you were even a husband or wife in your last lifetime? Hey, you don't even know. I was probably a wife in my last lifetime. I have no idea. I don't know, my astrology reading says something different. But still, I have no idea. I could have been the wife. So anyhow, but... Yeah, so Arjuna was, my wife's astrology says that she was a king in a previous lifetime. And I get to marry a king in this lifetime. So wonderful.
That's why she's controlling this.
Yes, that's why I'm the puppet. So anyhow, this is... Arjuna is lamenting over all of his relatives. He didn't want to fight. He didn't want to see them lose their lives, even though many of them were doing such adharmic or wicked things. He didn't want to see it. But ultimately, Krishna had a higher plan. And with Holly as well. I don't want to see Holly leave. None of you maybe even want to see Holly leave, hopefully. But if Krishna wants to take Holly, we have to let her leave. And we have to appreciate that Krishna has a plan for her. So similarly, any loss that we have, loss of relationships, loss of relatives, loss of friendships, this loss, that loss, it'll all be lost at the end. All that we try and acquire in this world, it'll be lost. Yes?
I was just going to say, I think... like a few months ago, right, Holly was scared that she was going to die because she was in the hospital already from some serious stomach stuff. And then once she got out, then she realized, the significance of spiritual life more and more. And then she came like every day for Kartik almost. And then just about a month later now she's in this position that, but there, Krishna gave her another chance and she took it. And so we don't know her destination. We don't know what his plan is, and with the Moksha Ekadashi all happening, just to get context.
Yeah, that's why I was brought to tears actually, because Krishna clearly has some plan for her spiritual elevation, and we watched it. She was our Kartik miracle. Every year we kind of every year Kartik miracles happen, like some type of spiritual boost always happens during Kartik. And this year we were looking for our Kartik miracle, and we found it in Holly, coming every day for Kartik. And, Holly wasn't if I were to scan the whole congregation and I was like, yes, this one will come every day. This one's going to want to, join the everyday crew at Mantra Central. I wasn't picking Holly. That's for sure. But Krishna picked Holly, and it was beautiful. And actually, to offer the lamps every day, to do all these things, one is guaranteed such a destination during Kartik. This is Krishna's promise. This isn't what I'm making in my mind. This is the Vedic understanding. But anyhow, there's a couple Kartik miracles. Ben coming back.
Because of her activity there, perhaps that's why on Ekadashi she forcibly fast.
Yes, And she told me, I ain't never gonna fast. She told me that. And I was like, you don't have to fast. But then Krishna was, it's funny, he actually, if she was going to fast, we all have to fast before we die anyway. That's usually the symptom of death, is when the person stops eating. And that's when they know it's the end. But it's interesting, she couldn't have picked a better day for her to fast. And so I'm really actually happy about that. But let me finish. I feel bad. I always cut Prabhupada off. He always is telling so many good things. So Arjuna argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology. But he did not know that knowledge of matter, soul, and the Supreme is even more important than religious formularies. And because he was lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man, as he did not happen to be a very learned man. He was consequently lamenting for something which was unworthy of lamentation. This actually we can do constantly. Religious formularies, rituals. It looks like this. The motion is like this. You dance like this. But actually, there's higher principles. And Prabhupada is saying knowledge of matter. What's matter? What is soul? And what is this? Who is the Supreme? This is much better than, I did my puja on the Wednesday, or Mondays, you only wear this color, or this thing, that thing, the other thing. I'm not saying that, they're all wrong, they have no basis. They have some basis, they might be in the Vedic scriptures somewhere and the other. But ultimately, if what is encouraging us to do these things isn't based on knowledge of the Supreme, knowledge of spirit, and distinguishing between knowledge of material knowledge, it's all illusory. And we should not pose ourselves as learned people, learned men. So many times we do this, we get very arrogant. I know I used to be an atheist who would preach atheism at one point in my life. When I was in college, I would preach atheism. And then the Lord had to severely humble me. But we should hopefully, if we get enough knowledge, what's the Western axiom? The more you know, what? The more you realize, the less you know. Yes. The more you know, the more you realize, the less you know. Our scientists are discovering that. When they start discovering, making all the discoveries, maybe when in the beginning they get maybe some proud of some knowledge. We discovered this. But then when you discover how infinite everything is and how infinitesimal we are in our knowledge is in comparison to the infinite nature of the universe, it's profound. And it makes one humble. And only from this humble state that one could even accept higher knowledge. So we must be humble. This pride or pratishta is called it. What a horrible anartha this is. To think oneself so learned. To think oneself so smart. What a terrible obstacle this is going to create in your life. Because you'll miss out on real knowledge if you think you have all the answers. If you think you've even got some answers, you're a fool. So this verse is letting you know who is foolish. And I'll give you a hint. If we're filled with lamentation, it's not because of the circumstances. It's actually due to our ignorance. If we have all kinds of things to lament for in our life, it's nothing else other than our own misunderstanding of reality. Because if we actually understand reality, as Krishna is saying, those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. So these are something to ponder upon. I see a lot of pondering happening. That's good. Keep pondering. Anyhow, the body is born and is destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not as important as the soul. One who knows this is actually learned, and for him there is no cause for lamentation. regardless of the condition of the material body. And I'm not free from it. I'm the teacher. I know what is soul, and it runs so deep. Our attachment to the temporary, our attachment to matter, our attachment to things that are ultimately not very important. Matter is not important. Yeah, all we emphasize is matter. That's all we emphasize. Like a lot of you are students here. You study, right? Who's my studious students in here? Come on, raise your hands. Part's a student. Piyush is an in-between student. Adya's a student. Rishabh's a student. Bharat, you're a student? Summer, you're a student. How much are we putting into studying the understandings of matter, soul, and the Supreme? What percentage? Someone give me a nice percentage of your studies. Adya. What percentage? 50%. You're 50% learned. That's good. Very nice. That's very good.
And once you start learning these, the spiritual knowledge, the material knowledge feels like
Empty.
yes.
Yes. We've all. I've had a similar experience. So, yeah, because you're actually becoming learned as to what is actually important. And this is what actually the juice of what happens is when, when you get a higher thing, you just can't accept lower things anymore. Like I used to get a lot of enjoyment in drinking alcohol, a ton of enjoyment in drinking alcohol. So going out with the girls and the boys and drinking, and I used to get a lot of enjoyment. And then actually I had a near-death experience a few years later, and I realized that like my soul could leave my body. That was a huge whoa for me, And so I was messing around with all kinds of intoxications and things. That's how I figured that out, actually. But ultimately, when I tried to go back to doing other things, and I realized, I can't do it anymore. I couldn't find happiness just drinking and doing what everyone else was doing. I couldn't find happiness in the material because I was given some knowledge of spirit. I was given a higher taste, a higher thing. So similarly, you can't give up something lower unless you found something higher. I'm a couple of I'm probably known here as a water snob. At least the ashram people know I'm a little bit of a water snob. Or I can't drink most water. Why? Because when I grew up around like a mountain spring, and I would just drink this amazing spring water for so long. So when I started drinking other waters, other places, I'm like, oh, this sucks. Why? Because I had this higher taste of this beautiful spring water, and I loved it so much. So, I literally, if I don't go and go to a special place like 50 minutes away and get like this, it takes like 9 minutes to just fill up a little bit. If I don't do that and go, I just won't drink. And it's just start to not survive, because I just don't, I'd rather, starve than drink water I don't like. But why? Because I tasted that higher, that better water, so I don't want that anymore. So similarly, when you get a taste of spiritual understanding, you won't want the material things anymore. And if you do still want the material things, I'll challenge you to just say, you know what, there's something much better. There's something much better than the pleasures of sex. There's something much better than the pleasures of intoxication. There's something much better than the pleasures of good tasting foods. There's something much better than the pleasures of the body and its senses. And that's the spiritual pleasure that's available. But it's not cheap. It's not easy to attain. You actually have to give your life. You have to surrender for it. And that's what Bhagavad Gita is going to teach you to do. It's not an ascending knowledge process. Do you know what that means? Ascending knowledge? What's it mean? Someone tell me. Summer.
Giving knowledge?
Kind of. Ascending means that the knowledge that you acquire, you keep discovering this, and you discovered this, and now I discovered this, and now I discovered this. That you're the source of your own growth of knowledge. That's actually not how knowledge comes. Knowledge comes through a descending process. Which is why, say like a PhD, like Parth, what is a lot of how you do a lot of your work in the PhD field? Who do you have to take guidance from? His professor. Most of the PhD is studying under a professor and following diligently this professor. And yes, maybe the professor will give you some permission to go and explore certain subject matters or even discover certain portions. But under the guidance of a teacher. This is how knowledge is acquired. So we have to find somebody with knowledge and we have to learn from them. That is how knowledge will be attained. So Arjuna, Krishna gives him something very valuable here. He lets him know that you're not learned. Indirectly, you're a fool. And ultimately, I don't know if you guys ever studied the tarot deck. I just thought of this. You ever do this? There's a card called the Fool. And everyone thinks like it's a bad card. Oh, it's the false ego. So I'm not a fool. I'm so smart. I know everything. This is our foolish type of attitude. We're so arrogant. But actually the Fool is a very good tarot card because it means that the Fool realizes their position and they're curious and they would like to know more in certain aspects of life. Now, if you are just a curious fool wanting to learn more about astrophysics, fine. Not going to get you anywhere. You got to lose all that knowledge at death. Who remembers all their studies in their past life? No? What? Yeah, exactly. So what's to speak? What's to speak of the next? So anyhow, that's the message today. To one, not be lamenting for that which is not worthy of lamenting for. Actually, if you are lamenting, if what you're lamenting for is either something that's living or something that's dead, it's not worth lamenting over, as per Krishna. And if you want to learn why, then finish the conversation. And Krishna will reveal. Bhagavad Gita is not to be just read through once. A lot of times we can get in that, I read that book, I don't need it anymore. To understand its layers and layers, you should be studying Bhagavad Gita so many times over. And our acharyas say we should read these things 108 times, and then maybe we can understand it. I talk to a lot of Indians. And it's very good. Indians they have a platform where they can actually understand these things so much better than I try to approach. But we have a nice group of Western people in the room as well. But, they have a much better foundation to actually understand these things. But I'm like trying to present Bhagavad Gita or tell them, oh, you should come, we study Bhagavad Gita. Oh, I know that already, I'm Indian. Oh, really? Yes. You're speaking like a learned man. But anyhow, I bet you he has something to lament for in his life when speaking like that. This is something that we should always strive to learn deeper and deeper and deeper. Revisit many times over in our lives. Anyhow, I'm in great ecstasy. Not always, but I'm very happy to have restarted the Bhagavad Gita this year as part of my reading, and I'm I'm taking from it so much more. The other literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, reading them a second time was so much more valuable than reading them the first time. So much more valuable. I have so much more context, so much more ability to understand. And also meeting with different teachers who have been able to put into perspective the things I was missing. That has been the most valuable thing. So this is ultimately, we should realize we're fools, but not stay there. Make the endeavor to actually become someone with knowledge, to know what is proper to lament for, what is, yes, my wife is telling me it's time. I'm being pulled. So anyhow, I'll end here. Is there any is there like a burning question or anything that could be answered shortly? Summer, you got everything? Yes? You're enlightened now? Maybe.
He's on his 107th.
107th. Study one more time, Summer. But thank you for coming. I'm so happy. And Shweta and Brajesh, thank you for bringing this. Is a very good thing you could do with your child, is to let them actually have an education on knowledge of matter and spirit and the Supreme. This is not being done by the mass of people. So I applaud you guys today. So okay, I think we'll end there. We're going to do a final kirtan and an arati. And again, please, our dear Holly is, we really just want her to, whether she does it with us or goes on to the next place to do it, we really just want her to keep making spiritual growth and advancement and get closer to her eternal service, an eternal relationship with the Supreme. From her spiritual place, not the body that I know as Holly, you know. And that's what we want for everybody, including ourselves, especially ourselves. So please chant with her in mind that the Lord gives her, another thing I thought was very sweet when I was reflecting is how yesterday my wife and I, we visited, and we brought so many articles of things, but all of a sudden we wanted to put tulsi in her mouth, we wanted to put a tulsi necklace on her, so many things. But seeing all the machines and things literally down her body's throat, and like all the things, it was like impossible to like put anything and do like almost anything that we want to do. And they didn't want us to touch her or anything, you know, they wanted to check. So me and my wife were kind of a little devious, and we were just like, well, we have to give her some blessings somehow. So we had my wife smear a little Nrsimha oil from the Nrsimha deity in Mayapur to protect her. And then we actually had some dust from Braj, Govardhan and Braj. And when no one was looking, my wife just touched her hand in an innocent, seemed like an innocent way, but was smearing the oil on her hand. And then also I had my wife also just touch her hair, also in an innocent way, but sprinkle some dust in her hair. And I thought it was very sweet that the dust of Vrindavan and Nrsimha's blessings in his oil wanted to go to her, because that's the realization that devotee has, that we're just the instrument. This is what a God is wanting. And interestingly enough, also we left a photo of Radha and Krishna, and at the time I wasn't thinking like this, you know. I was more lamenting that, like, we just found out. We thought Holly was supposed to come here on Thursday and pick up prasadam catering, and she never came. And I was like offended at first. I was like, wow, why did she tell us to cook all these things? And but it turns out my wife actually thought something was wrong, and we also thought it was very much unlike Holly, especially the reason her son found her is because she wasn't posting on Facebook, and Facebook is something she uses very often, but for her to just kind of go dark was like a sign that, okay, something is probably up. So anyhow, it was very interesting when we went. My wife was really inclined to bring a photo of Radha and Krishna, and I was looking back on it, you know, I'm just shocked that Radha and Krishna wanted to go to her. You know, because that's what that's the vision that the devotee sees. It's not, we're not the doer, that we're the instrument. We're being propelled by ultimately the divine mind, the divine plan, destiny. And so, destiny has it that now Holly is there with Radha and Krishna. And the dust of Raj is in her hair. She probably won't be taking any more showers unless she somehow gets out of this situation. The oil is smeared on her. And who knows, maybe we'll go back more and maybe she'll make a few more days and we'll go again and see if we can further whatever we can offer of the Lord, maybe some flowers from the deities or so on. But yeah, please chant for her well-being. The Lord is, at least to me, proven to me that He is very fond of her. And so, also, if she inspires us to chant with more sincerity, only that much more blessing she can get. So please, chant.
Mommy.
This is our process. So Mukunda, please do an arati. No, Deidre, bring her back. We're chanting now. So, Michael, put that. We'll do a bhajan. Thank you who joined us online. And